Hi, it's Lee again for more Whispers from the Woods. And today I wanted to talk to you about creating your own nature journal. So I've got mine here. I've got two. Both have got a different sort of subject to each one. The reason why I personally like to make a nature journal, and I'd advise others to, it's about deepening your connection to nature. So if you look at it like a journey that you're on, and your connection to nature is getting stronger, getting deeper, you're learning more, your knowledge and your wisdom is gaining strength as you find out more and more about nature and how we're connected to it. If we can record that in our journals, one, we're more likely to remember what it is we've learned. Two, it's a beautiful record of our journey, which is so lovely to look back on. And three, we can share that with others. Now, there are no rules to how you put together your journal and the content that you put into it. I like to put in different mindfulness exercises that I've tried and enjoyed. I've got sort of printouts from the internet all about nature connection. I've got some scientific studies, I've pulled out the facts that interest me and jotted them down. I've got information about birds, pictures that I've printed off and stuck in and then written interesting facts about them. So this is very personal to me, and I'm sure your journal would look very different and it would be very personal to you. It's all about what interests you. Now, my second journal is slightly different content. This is more about herbal medicine, foraging, recipes that I've tried and tested. I've jotted down the herbs I've planted in my garden. I've jotted down the key medicinal properties of certain plants that I found when out on my walks. Parts of a flower. I've printed off pictures so I can use it as an identification guide, just printed off of the internet. And so this is a really nice record of the remedies, the recipes I've made. Did I use too much salt? Should I add more of this or that to it? So this is a really important record, especially when you're making recipes of what worked and what didn't work. When we're talking about edible plants, the key thing to remember is that very often it's another year is going to go by before you find that plant again. So to remember everything you did with it last year is quite a task. So if you've written it down, so let's have a look here. So chickweed, for example, I've written down recipes that worked last year. I've written down the recipe I used for pesto, so I know, and I used it as a vinegar to make a dressing. See, I might not have remembered that. I might not have remembered that I mixed it with perhaps nettle, and that worked really, really well. Because you're not practicing a certain recipe all throughout the year, a year goes by and your memory lapses. So this is a great reminder. So it's proven that when we write something down, we're more able to remember it. We use a different part of the brain when we write something down as to when we discuss it or when we read about it. So it's a really good thing to do, to write things down. For example, in this book, I can never remember the corvid family, which is which, what the crow looks like, what the raven looks like, and what the differences are. So somewhere here I've printed off all the corvid family, from crows to jays to jackdaws, here we go, magpies, rooks, raven. And I can now see the difference. So this is a good visual reminder for the visual learning side of my brain. And also I've written down what they might look like whilst in flight as well, so when I'm looking at them in the sky. I've got information in here about the equinoxes and what the sun's doing in the sky. Now, ideas you could use would be to create your own illustrations maybe. You could press flowers and stick them in. There's all sorts of things. I've actually used real life photographs of things I've done and things I've seen. So there's plenty of ideas. And the best thing about the nature journal is it might be a day where the weather isn't so great for going out and exploring. So it's something you can do at home and be deepening your nature connection at the same time, even if you're indoors. Okay, that's the end of this week's Whispers from the Wood. If you're enjoying them, please do pass on to a friend, let others know. And yeah, I'll see you next week for more musings from the woodland.